Hello, everybody. You wait for some ones to come in the chat. Thank you, Lily. So it is Thursday, so it is AA Day. We'll wait a couple minutes and let people come in. Usually I try to get it started right off and waiting for people to come. So I get in a hurry. Usually my sponsor comes and I know I scheduled it for 7, so I'll wait a couple minutes and let people come. Oh, here comes the dogs. Here they come. Ryder's in the kitchen waiting for his TREATS. He is quite the character. Back up. Ryder. 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 Mr. Ryder. What are you doing? Did you go out? Can't Lily to go out? Thank you, Aunt Lily. Thank you, Aunt Lily.
Welcome.
Anyways, I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. And this is Thursday night AA meeting. I do 2 a week. I do one meeting on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then one on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is Ryder. If anybody didn't know that, I think he is going to go and play, maybe. You're going to go play with Pippi? Go play with Pippi? He has food in my room.
That's okay.
Anyways, so like I said, I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. Please, if you're in the comments or the chat, just know that others will know that you're here. That's how I keep my anonymity. Try to say that word. Is by telling everybody that if they don't mind people knowing that they are part of an AA group, be in the chat all you want. If you don't want people to know, then you just hit the like button and subscribe so that way you can come for the next one. That's how I do my anonymity. Anyways, I know Vangirl Cheryl is here. She did let me share on her live stream a couple minutes ago that I'm going live for AA. Thank you, Shirley, for that. And of course, thank you, Lily, for being here. And Step Van Dan, thank you for being here. I appreciate everybody coming. Anyways, let's go ahead and get the meeting started. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I am not reading out of a book right now, so I am reading off of an app that I have on my phone. It is AA Daily Reflections. So that's why it doesn't have anything in the description of what I'm reading, is because it's in my phone. Anyway, 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Their lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Yes, I know them all by heart. Sometimes I do have to look at it and make sure I'm saying the right one. Otherwise, they're right here. So I am reading How to Live Sober. I did skip some of it on accident. I didn't realize that it was, one big old thing. So I just skipped some. So I am going to start off at 9. Eating or drinking something usually sweet. Yes, you heard that right. Can you imagine drinking a bourbon and soda right after a chocolate malted or a beer on top of a piece of cake with icing? If you're not too ill to read on, you will agree that they don't sound exactly made for each other. In one way, that is what this portion of our experience is about. Many of us have learned that something sweet tasting or almost any nourishing food or snack seems to dampen a bit the desire for a drink. So from time to time, we remind each other never to get too hungry. Maybe it's just imagination, but the yin for the shot does seem to be sharper when the stomach is empty. At least it's more noticeable. This booklet is based on our own personal experience rather than on scientific reports. So we cannot explain precisely in technical terms why this should be so. We can only pass on the word that thousands of us, even many who said they had never liked sweets, have found that eating or drinking something sweet allies the urge to drink. Since we are neither physician nor nutrition experts, we cannot recommend that everybody carry a chocolate bar and nibble on it. Whenever the thought of a drink arises, many of us do, but others have sound health reasons for avoiding sweets. However, fresh fruit and diet, dietetic substitutes for sweet food and drink are available, and so the idea of using a sweet taste is, I just closed it out again, dang it, just a second, is practical for anyone. Some of us think it is more than the taste that helps quell the impulse towards alcohol. It may also be in part just substituting a new set of physical actions. Getting a soft drink, a glass of milk or fruit juice, and some cookies or some ice cream, then drinking or chewing and swallowing many of us advise. Swallowing certain many alcoholics when they first stop drinking discover they are much more undernourished than they had suspected. A non-detation that is encountered in all economic brackets. For that reason, many of us are advised by our doctors to take vitamin supplements to treat deficiencies associated with alcoholism, repair damage, and avoid other consequences. So perhaps many of us simply need more nourishment than we realize. And any good food in the stomach really makes us feel better psychologically. A hamburger, honey, raw vegetables, roasted nuts, cheese, yogurt, sliced fruit, a mint, anything you like that is good for you can do the trick. Newly sober alcoholics, when it is suggested they eat instead of drink, frequently wonder, what about getting too fat? We can point out that we see this occur only rarely. I need a different phone. Sliced fruit, a mint, anything you like that is good for you can do the trick. Newly sober alcoholics, when it is suggested they eat instead of drink, frequently wonder, what about getting too fat? We can point out that we can see this occur only rarely. Many of us lose unnecessary fat when we start taking in wholesome food instead of sheer calories of ethyl alcohol and others have gained needed pounds. To be sure, a few ice cream or candy addicts do find in their first sober months a bold or role developing here and there in the unusual wrong places, but that seems a small price to pay for release from alcoholism. Better to be chubby or pleasingly plump than drunk, right? Did you ever hear of anyone being arrested for fat driving? Anyhow, what a little patience and sound judgment, the weight situation usually straightens itself out, or our experience proves. If it does not, or if you have a chronic serious obesity or underweight problem, you probably should consult a medical expert who not only knows weight problems but also understands alcoholism. We never find any physician sophisticated about alcoholism. So the next time the temptation to drink arises, let's eat a little or sip something gooey. At least that puts off the drink for an hour or two so we can take another step towards recovery. Maybe the one suggested in the next section. It's okay. This is 10. Making use of telephone therapy. When we were first trying to achieve sobriety, many of us found ourselves taking a drink without planning to. Sometimes it seemed to happen particularly without our knowing it. There was no con- conscious decision to drink, and there was no real thought about possible consequences. We had not intended to set off an entire drinking episode. Now we have learned that simply postponing that first drink, putting something else in its place, provides us with a chance to think about our drinking history, to think about the disease of alcoholism, and to fortunately we can do more than just think about it. And we do. We telephone someone. When we stopped drinking, we were told repeatedly to get AA people's telephone numbers, and instead of drinking, to phone these people. At first, the thought of telephoning a new acquaintance, someone we barely knew, seemed strange, and most of us were reluctant. But the AAs, those with more non-drinking days behind them than we had, kept suggesting it. They said they understood why we hesitated, because they had felt the same way. Nevertheless, they said, just try it at least once. And so finally, thousands and thousands of us have. To our relief, it turned out to be an easy, pleasant experience. Best of all, it worked. It turned out to be, oh, sorry. Maybe the quickest way to understand this before you try it is to put yourself mentally in the place of the person being called. It is a rewarding and gratifying thing to be trusted that much. So the person receiving the call is almost invariably nice, even charming about it, not at all surprised, and even glad to hear from us. There's more. Lots of us have found that when we wanted to drink, we could telephone someone more experienced in sobriety than we were. And it was not even necessary to mention that we were thinking of drinking. That was often understood without a word. And it really did not matter for no apparent reason. We found ourselves suddenly, inexplicably undergoing an onslaught of anxiety, fear, terror, even panic, which made no sense. This happens to lots of human beings, of course, not just to alcoholics. Hey, Tony. When we told the truth about the way we really felt, what we were doing, and what we wanted to do, we found we were perfectly understood. We got total empathy, not sympathy. Everyone we called, remember, had been in exactly the same boat sometime or other. And they all remembered vividly. More frequently than not, only a few moments of conversation made our thought of a drink disappear. Sometimes we got practical, eye opening information, or gentle, indirect guidance, or tough, direct, heart to heart advice. Sometimes we found ourselves laughing. Observers of recovered alcoholics have noticed the extensive network of informal social contacts among AA members, even when we are not at AA meetings, and often when no one is thinking or talking of drinking. We've found we can have about as much social life with each other as we want, doing together the usual things friends do, listening to music, chatting, going to play and movies, eating together, camping and fishing, sightseeing, or just visiting in person or by note or telephone, all without the necessity of a single drink. Such acquaintanceship and friendship have a unique value for those of us who chose not to drink. We are free to be ourselves among people who share our own concerns for the maintenance of a happy sobriety without being frantically against all drinking. It is possible, of course, to remain sober among people who are not recovered alcoholics. And even among those who drink a lot, though we will probably feel some social discomfort in their company. But among other sober alcoholics, we can be sure that our recovery from alcoholism is highly prized and deeply understood. It means a lot to these friends, just as their health is cherished by us. See, she already knows what I'm talking about. Ah, the transition to enjoyment of sobriety sometimes begins when newly sober we keep in touch with others equally new at the game at first. It often seemed a little awkward to strike up friendships with people who have been sober for years. We are usually more at ease with those who, like ourselves, are just setting out towards recovery. That's why many of us make our first telephone calls about not drinking to our AA contemporaries. Telephone therapy works even when we don't have any individual to call, since the number for AA is listed in practically every telephone dictionary in the United States and Canada and in many other countries. It is easy simply to dial the number and instantly be in touch with someone who honestly understands at gut level. It may be a person who person we have never met, but the same genuine empathy is there. Reaching out through the internet can also help. Making a connection with another alcoholic in your own hometown or perhaps halfway around the world. Once the first call is made, it is much easier to make another when it is needed. Finally, the need to talk away the desire for a drink virtually disappears for most of us. When it does, many of us find, however, that we have established the beneficial habit of occasionally friendly telephone visits. Such, so we keep them up because we enjoy them. But that usually comes later. At first, telephone therapy is primarily for helping us stay sober. We reach for the phone instead of a drink, even when we don't think it will work, even when we don't want to. So I'm going to only read there, and then that way I know where to go on Tuesday. And that gives me a half hour, a little less than that, to agree with this. Spot on. Now, y'all know I've been sober for 11 years. 11 years and 9 months. So I still remember my first meeting. I was not told I had to go to a meeting. I was not required by law to go to a meeting. I chose to go to a meeting because a friend of mine um, anyways, a friend of mine invited me to meet him at a meeting, and I was like, it won't hurt. I hadn't seen this friend since I was 16 years old, maybe 17. And I was like, all right, it's not going to hurt me to go to a meeting. I was already sober for a while. And I knew of AA before I started AA, before I ever went to a meeting, because my father, my birth father, took me and my sister to an AA meeting when we were really little. Well, we were grade school kids at that time. Anyways, so we, I went to this meeting not thinking that, I was going to want to keep going. And the network of the phone calls. My first meeting, I didn't hardly hear anything of what was said. I did not say I was an alcoholic. I did not say I was a recovering alcoholic. I did not talk. My husband did. He told them my name. He told them I was a recovering alcoholic. And so after that first meeting, I decided that, okay, it didn't hurt me to go to this meeting. It's not going to hurt me to go to another one. So I started calling numbers on that list that just said something about, yes, we give a list of our numbers. Female to female, male to male, vice versa, whatever. Anyways, so the next day, I want to say it was the next day. It might have been a couple days, but I'm pretty sure it was the next day. I was calling the numbers on that list. I was getting very discouraged because I was like, I need to know when the next meeting is. I have to know when that next meeting is because I want to go. Maybe my friend can meet me there again. And so I was calling people on this list. First one didn't answer. Second one didn't answer. I was like, oh no. If this third one does not answer, I'm not going, because I don't know these people. I've never really been outgoing and, other than while I was drinking, then I didn't care. But so the third number I called answered her phone. She's in this chat and she could say hey if she wants to. She answered her phone and I said, hi, I was just wondering when the next AA meeting is. She is my sponsor still to this day. She has been my sponsor since day one. Okay, day two. But she answered her phone. And I talked to her. And she didn't tell me that I was crazy. Didn't say that not to come. She didn't say that I had to be dressed a certain way, didn't judge me, didn't say anything of no judgment. And that's why I say no judgment here in these meetings. You can judge me on just my own videos, not in my AA meetings. That will make me very upset. Or judging other people in the chat. But, so the network does work. For people that are coming into a meeting, they're scared. They don't know what to expect. For me, I didn't know what to expect. And even still, to this day, every now and then, when I go to even my home group, I'm just like, I don't know if I really want to stay here for the meeting or if I just want to meet with my sponsor and have a meeting with her, because it's a meeting with two or more people. That's why I started these meetings here, because I have more than just me here for a meeting, and I can reach more people this way. Yes, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I will forever be a recovering alcoholic, and I will forever say that, so that way I stay sober. And remember that I started this process for a reason. And that reason was for me, for myself. I didn't have to do it for anybody else. I did it for me, so I could become who I'm supposed to be. Yes, that chapter in my life happened for a reason. It taught me a lot of who I can be if I go back to that, and who I am now, of being sober, living life daily. Yeah, I still have my character defects. I still have my attitude. I still get mad. I still cry. I still have all those emotions. But I'm sober, and I'm happy to be sober. I do not miss drinking at all. Not at all. Because, yeah, while I remember a lot of things from that time, there's still some stuff that I don't remember. And some stuff I'd rather just block out. But unfortunately, that trauma is not blockable. I can just go away from it because it is not my fault. And that person is ashes. He passed away still an alcoholic. And, sometimes that's what happens. You don't get that aha, there's a reason I need to be sober, and there's things that can never be amended because that person didn't make his amends before he left this earth. I knew he never would. So, while I forgave him for myself, I do not forget it. Life goes on past all of those things that I knew I was going to be an alcoholic. I set out to try to not be the alcoholic, but I ended up that way anyway. And so that part I could not change. I chose to just go ahead and give in to being the alcoholic. And now I'm sober, and the husband's banging the ice on the counter while I'm live. But being sober is much better than being out there on Skid Row or not even here anymore, So while you're worried about going into a meeting for whatever reason, I can guarantee you those people will welcome you with open arms and not judge you for being an alcoholic, for any things that you have been through or have done being the alcoholic. We just want you to know that sobriety is achievable, very much so. And it is long term if that's what you choose. And how you work your daily living and your program of AA. And so I keep coming back because I know it works. Because I work it every day. And I want to reach to any of those other alcoholics that are worried about somebody knowing that they're an alcoholic. I thought I was hiding it. I wasn't hiding it from anybody. I was trying to hide it from myself, and I wasn't even hiding it from myself very good. So, I'm going to keep reading this for as long as I can until we run out of this part of the app. And it's just eye-opening to be able to read through something different and realize that makes perfect sense. Makes great sense to me. But anyways, just know if you're struggling today, you're not alone. If you need help, like it says, Google, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with Google, but Google it. Ask a church. Look in the directory, the phone book. But there is help everywhere. Literally, absolutely everywhere. And keep going. And if you're sober and you've been sober, congratulations, you've got this. Anyways, you guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful night, a great weekend. I am going to be staying home this weekend doing absolutely probably nothing. Because husband has to work. I want to go fishing. Anyways, please, if you have been sober And if you know anyone that is struggling, please let them know that they're not alone. And there's help everywhere. And like my sponsor says, AA works for everything. I quit smoking almost. I'm working on my third year. And now I'm working on the losing weight. Because yes, I did. I ate the sweets and the chips and the crackers and the cookies and all those things. So yes, I know. Anyways, I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. Be safe.